In this video, we'll be exploring the applicant tracking settings. To get to these settings, just scroll down to the settings tab at the very left-hand side, and then go to the ATS tab on the inner column. We are simply going to break down these settings top to bottom, starting with the pipeline. Simply click to expand this tab, and once here, you'll see you can configure the default vacancy pipeline. These are the standard stages in which you wish your vacancies to appear and which you wish applicants to be tracked through. Not every vacancies pipeline has to stick to this. You can customize them individually. So it's best to set up your settings pipeline with the most common set of steps you expect to find. You'll see that some steps can't be deleted, such as new applicant, accepted, or awaiting approval. That's because these steps have certain functionality behind them, such as where the applicants arrive, where the applicants must move on to become employees, and also if you have approval rules, this stage may be required. Every other stage, however, can be deleted as you see fit, and you can create an unlimited number of additional stages. If you wish to edit a stage, within that option you will see you can change the colour of the stage, so if you wish to have a theme or a colour that indicates a specific action, the title of the stage, and you can also determine whether you would like hiring leads. We will talk more about these later, but in brief, these are other people who may have access to this vacancy. You can determine whether they can enter people into this stage or exit them from this stage, i.e. pull them out. After the pipeline, we have the scorecard. The scorecard is an internal feedback tool that you can use to rate applicants. Anybody who has access to the vacancy can use a scorecard. And it's a really quick way of giving feedback without having to give really in-depth or lengthy notes. However, they are also an option. Within the scorecard settings, you'll be able to manage the contents of this standard scorecard. Just like the pipeline, not every single vacancy has to have this scorecard, but they will default to this scorecard. So it's best to have this be the most common scorecard you would use, so you spend less time in each vacancy editing it. Each scorecard category is an overall area where you're going to be scoring, and each question within that category will be an area they will be scored on. The scoring scale on a scorecard is set at 1 to 5, so every question comes with an automatic 1 to 5 rating scale. For example, if we look in the CV resume section, you'll see this category is scoring all about the resume, and the areas to score on 1 to 5 are creativity, experience, and design. So all people with access to the vacancy will be able to visit each candidate's profile and score them on each of these three things internally, as well as any of the other contents in the scorecard. Following the scorecard settings, we have the approvers. Within here, you can set up two types of approver for groups of vacancies. You can select the groups of vacancies by company and/or location and/or department. And the two types of approver you can have are job approvers, people who will determine whether the vacancy can be approved to go live. And you will have offer approvers, people who will determine whether you can offer the role to a candidate. When you've selected these two things, you will then be able to choose your group of approvers. And if you have multiple approvers, you might want to choose one of the three rules. The rules can be any one of your approvers can approve, therefore it's first come, first serve. All of your approvers must approve, however there's no specificity beyond that. Or approvers must approve in the order that they've been specified, i.e. the order that they were added. Following this, you have your hiring lead settings. Hiring leads are any individuals that you wish to grant access to either one or multiple vacancies. These are commonly people of manager level role, however there can be anyone who you see fit to be able to come into this vacancy and give actions, whether that action is to view the applicant information and provide feedback, or simply to just be aware of what is going on. So here within the settings you can determine default rules for hiring leads. If you have any consistency to these personnel being given access to vacancies, then you can do it nice and easily here in the settings by choosing either the groups of companies and/or locations and/or departments, and therefore the corresponding groups of people that you would like to have access to those groups of vacancies. So for example, if I have a vacancy in the sales department in the Doncaster office for this company, I would always like an example to have access. If your rules aren't that consistent, and for whatever reason there might be a sales role that Anne wouldn't have example to, you are best to leave her out of these settings, as that will mean you are more of the time having to remember to go into vacancies and remove her from there. Much better when it comes to access, only granting it when it's necessary rather than taking it away. Once you've determined which groups of people you would like to have access to these vacancies, and you can set this multiple times for different areas, you can then determine whether you would like them to see each other's feedback. This goes for the scorecard scores that they give, as well as any other comments they give to that applicant's profile. If you don't want them to see that each other's at all, you can say absolutely no. If you'd like it to be open all the time, you can say absolutely yes. Or if you would like to add a light restriction, which is very popular with our customers, you can choose to say only see other people's feedback once you've submitted yours, removing the option for you to mimic their comments. Beyond the hiring lead settings, we have the email template settings. Within here, you can create templates for emails that can be used either as bulk actions or simply to speed up the admin time when it comes to contacting individuals. After you've given the template a name and description and a subject, and provided any relevant attachments, you can then give the details here below in the text editor. A great feature of these emails is the ability to have merged applicant information. Again, great for when you're trying to do bulk things or speed up the time of when you're doing one-to-one comms. To get these merge tags that you'd like to place in the document to pull information through, you can click on this little template help icon at the top right corner. This will open up another tab in your web browser, providing you with all the merge tags that you can copy and paste into the document. So for example, if I want the first name to get merged into this document, I can copy the first name tag, paste it where I want that information to go. Now if I were to be within a vacancy and sending this email to 10 applicants, all of their first names will populate where I've placed that tag when they receive this. Beyond the email templates, we have the email settings. Within here, you have two main options. The first option is to verify your domain name. So our domain name, for example, would be peoplehr.com, and yours would correspond with your company. Once you've entered the domain name in here and hit save, you'll be displayed your DNS records. You can add these DNS records to your existing DNS records on your IT server to ensure that our emails are nice and secure, reducing the impact and removing the option of emails being bounced or not verified. Below this, you'll also see another option to add an email address that you would like to be able to use instead of an existing one or the default no reply PeopleHR one. This will in effect mask your emails as the alternative ones that you're choosing from within this list. So if you wish to send emails from a shared email that's more like recruitment at or HR at your company domain, then you can add that email into this list here, and when sending emails within the ATS, you'll see that you can choose your from address from a drop-down list. Any of the emails that you've verified from within here will then appear in that list. Verifying the email is very simple. Once added, an email is automatically sent to that account, and you simply just need to log in and click in that email to verify that you own it. Below the email settings, we have the RSS feed URLs. These two URLs are designed to automatically feed your vacancies to either an internal web space or an external web space. The internal RSS feed is much more ideal to post on something like an intranet or an internal space, as this will only feed vacancies that you've marked as internal. The external web feed, as you might imagine, therefore is much better to put on an external web space, somewhere that your customers or clients or just potential visitors and passers-by may see these things, and therefore this feed does only pick up vacancies that have been marked for externals. The way these feeds work is they produce a XML, and this XML can be embedded in the relevant web page that you'd like it to feed to. This isn't a job that we typically expect HR to undergo, so the process for using these URLs appropriately is to typically pass the information onto your internal IT or whoever your web manager is, and they should have the know-how and the ability to embed these appropriately for you as a one-time process, meaning that the connection is then permanently set between People HR ATS and your web space. Below the RSS feed option, we have the application settings. Within here, you can have a display message that shows on the screen once you've completed your application as a candidate to your ATS. And you can also determine the same option to be applied through email by choosing one of the templates that you've set from the above area to go as an auto acknowledgement email. In between those two options, you can see the option to allow or completely not allow duplicate applicants by unticking this box. If you allow duplicate applicants, then you can decide whether you want to check their duplication by their name, by their email address, or by both of these factors. This will then flag up any duplicates to you and very easily allow you to determine how you would like to deal with them. Below application, we have the vacancy settings. Within here, you can determine firstly whether you would like to allow your employees in your system, therefore all employees that are in your employee list, to request job approvals, i.e. vacancies to be authorised. You can also set that to just employees that are of a manager level. So anybody in your system that has an employee that reports to them. This is much more popular as it is much more common in business that manager level people request roles for their teams or their departments. However, the above option is still applicable if necessary for you. Below this, we've given you the option to determine whether your hiring managers, these are individuals who've been given specific elevated access rights to the ATS. There'll be more information elsewhere in our Help Centre on hiring managers if you wish to seek further information. Do you wish to allow them to delete applicant data? If this box is not ticked, that will not be an option for them. Below, we also have the same option for whether you'd like your hiring leads to be able to delete applicants. Again, these are the people that from earlier we mentioned can be given access to any vacancy we choose. The access they have is fairly high in terms of what they can do. They can view applicant information, move applicants through the pipeline where you've determined, and only with allowing this option, they could then potentially delete applicants. So please do consider this before allowing any hiring leads access to vacancies, whether you wish to allow them to delete applicant data or not. Below this option, we have the ability to allow mail merge of applicant documents. So this means any mail merge documents you've created as templates for your employees will then be able to upload to applicant records as well. And finally, in this area, we have the option to allow posting into these three portals automatically. Simply tick this box and any of your vacancies that are marked as active will then post to these three relevant portals. And finally, in the analytics settings, you can enter your Google tracking ID. This is great for if you want to then be able to track the same analytics through your people system for any of your views for your online traffic for your job board.